What's up, YouTube? If you haven't watched the Becoming Immortal documentary, go watch it. It's really good. And the showcase of the Immortals just happened, which the end felt like the Avengers. But let's get on to the review. 2K24. This game is a really good game. I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel like they did a lot of stuff right with the stuff they fixed. But yeah, the part of the review you're watching now is for this year they did the My Career mode again, men's and women's. I think it's like undisputed and I forgot what the women's were called. But what you're watching right now is the men's portion of it. And yeah, you get a little storyline where you kind of get put in NXT because I became a face. And I pretty much yeah, Miz is a manager, or the what is it? I'm losing my train of thought. He runs SmackDown or whatever, and pretty much I got tired of him and tried to make my waves in NXT because you're pretty much trying to beat Roman Reigns' undisputed streak, which that's what the men's portion of it is necessarily for if you're a face. But I gotta say, the stories are well thought out in this game. I feel like they're a little bit better than last year's because they normally find a way to make their stories better than the year before. So I'll absolutely give them that in that aspect. But I'll say for the women's portion of the story, the women's story, I do feel like that it's a lot better than the men's. I'll say that the women's story is you're coming from the indies and you're making your way to WWE. And the way you do that is you're in this show called TBD, which I swear for the longest time I was like, is it to be announced or whatever? But funny little joke of mine. But no, I kind of like the women's story better because I'm sorry, it just reminds me of my boy AJ Styles working his way from the indies to get to WWE. And that's just more style that I appreciated it. Now I'm an indie boy. I enjoy that very much. But the mechanics are smooth like they normally are. They have some boo-boos, don't get me wrong. They, all wrestling games still have their boo-boos. Can't really get mad at them for that. But they added, it's the small stuff that not necessarily that they added this year, like having double title entrances or, like I said, the small bugs, or putting more stuff in universe, or making sure that some of the stuff from my faction is actually in the rest of the game, which I'm only going to touch up on my faction a little bit necessarily, because here's why I say kind of where my bad was, but my faction is necessarily the same as last year. I didn't really enjoy it as much. I don't really like the My Faction mode. Some people might enjoy it, but just me personally, I don't enjoy it. I don't know. I kind of feel like it's Ultimate Team without you spending money. But you can still spend money on My Faction, so it is what it is. But the purpose, what they were going for this year's game, my bad, was necessarily the match types. And the match types that they had in this year was, I believe, Casket, Special Guest Referee, and Ambulance, which it was a return for Special Guest Referee and I believe the Casket match because it was in older iteration games, which I will always say, I'm a little disappointed that every gaming company feels like that they need to every year, or not every year, like they need to take out some portion or aspect of what used to be in the old games and put them in new games. Yeah, I talk about this in Madden 2, and I shit on them for that. And I love WWE, I love their games, but they don't get no pass because they do the same thing. Now, as y'all see, I'm playing the Ambulance match, which Ambulance match is pretty nice. I enjoyed it. I like what they did to it. It just, the only thing I don't like, which it's not the game creator's fault. I mean, like, it's fun. It's just that, man, when you put them in, you literally have to struggle to get them the hell, like, you have to struggle to actually get them in. and they just forced their way out, which is crazy. I do wish that the button tap animation thing was not there for this necessarily, because I ain't trying to destroy my controller. I don't know what, this ain't the early 2000s. I'm not trying to destroy my controller no more. I'd be really afraid for my controller. Like, come on now. But with that being said, we moved on to the next match. Was I played special guest referee, which I thought was really interesting. I like how they did it. You can't be too biased, because if you are, you eventually get kicked out and they replace you with another ref. But, you know, the bar to your top left shows you, like, if you're doing well or not. So, special guest referee matches, I believe, for the community will actually be stupid fun and stupid interested, because you never know. The ref could just turn on you at any minute, and then they're not going to get thrown out immediately unless they just continue to do it. So, then bringing back special guest referee was definitely a A1 thing, and hopefully I'm hoping that they just leave it into the next games. What we're really here to talk about, though, is the final part of this game would be, other than that, actually real quick, before we go to the final part, is the community creation suit, same as last year's, not really much of a difference. So there's not really much to touch on that. WWE always goes out for their creation suit, so I'm very proud of them for doing that. But now the last thing that I want to talk about is what this year's tagline was 40 years of WrestleMania, and it was finish the story. And before I go into 40 years of WrestleMania, again, I will say finish the story was very good for Cody Rhodes. Yes, I was a Cody crybaby. I enjoyed WrestleMania, but I feel like they really had a missed opportunity to add in create a story, which was last seen in WWE 14. It would have been perfect for the tagline they had for this game, but that's just me. But 40 years of WrestleMania, it was a really good showcase. I enjoyed it, but I will say the showcase you're watching right now is the triple threat where Becky becomes double champ. I believe this is WrestleMania 35. This might be WrestleMania 35. I didn't hate the 40 years of WrestleMania. I enjoyed it, but I do not like the match types they put in. Like, I don't like the match that they put in for it. To me, for some of the WrestleMania matches that they put in, there were better matches for that WrestleMania than the matches that they put in. Like, this was fine, necessarily. The Golden Era matches, they were pretty nice. It feels like they always give respect to, like, the Golden Era, and then, like, they gave respect to the Attitude Era. But then, like, the Ruthless Aggression Era, they really didn't get any matches like that, which was crazy. But I do give them respect for putting in what I feel is the greatest match of all time, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 25. I do respect them for that, because that's a match. I care what nobody says. I will fight you on it all day. That is literally the greatest match of all time. But other than that, I'll say 40 years of WrestleMania, they really did good. They did their job. And, WWE, just another WWE game. So I didn't really have much bad to say for it. But they didn't really do any major improvements to the game like they did when they went from 20 to 22. Which, that needed to be major improved, but that's where I'll end this and wrap it up here. If I have to say, if I had to give it the final verdict, I would give this game a 7 out of 10. And I say 7 because there are some, new stuff in this game, but ultimately they didn't do much from 23. It's pretty much the same, Of course, they got to change the game modes and all that stuff up, but other than that, it's pretty much copy and paste. They did a little bit different to change it up with the small and the minor changes that people like, but 7 out of 10, that's what I give it, y'all. So until next time, I'm out.